From the Beaver County Auto Studios, it's another Penguins Quickie here on Pittsburgh Sports Live and Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski. Let's talk about Nick Bjugstad and the Penguins' third line. Of course, the big trade went down Friday afternoon. Dare I have a few minutes? I was kind of just kicking around Friday afternoon, deciding what to do for lunch, and then all hell broke loose. I was a couple minutes behind, but I like to think we caught up and provided some darn good trade analysis before anybody else got to that part of the story. So here's what I think we saw Friday night and Saturday. Now, Mike Sullivan offered a lot of praise for the Penguins, let's call it the second line, Friday and Saturday, because of Evgeny Malkin's absence. But that line, Rust, Bjugstad, and Kessel, had a really good Friday night. They dominated the advanced statistics. They had scoring chances by the boatload. Brian Rust banged home a couple of goals. Now, on Saturday, Mike Sullivan was a bit more tepid in his praise. In fact, he did that thing where you praise what you want to praise. When asked about that line on Saturday night, he said, I thought they had a real good Friday night. Ouch. They were okay on Saturday. They had their spots, as Sullivan did admit. Scoring chance-wise, they were just about even. Bjugstad had 11 chances for and 12 chances against. Kessel was 9 and 12. I guess he was late getting on a couple of times. But here's the thing about that. Let's take a look at Saturday night because, first of all, Bjugstad, 6'6", 218 pounds. Yeah, the guy has a wingspan. That's going to come into play here in just a couple seconds. Now, first period. Kessel storms the Toronto zone. Kessel has the puck on his stick and is playing with it. That's a good thing. Look at Bjugstad kind of reading the play. He knows exactly where to go. Bjugstad jumps into the play, storms the slot, has a good chance on Garrett Sparks. I actually think that Bjugstad could have held the puck another half breath longer, put a little more pressure on Sparks, but still, grade A scoring chance. In the third period, the Penguins trying to get their footing. There's Bjugstad's long wingspan. I said it would come into play. There it is. Look, he reaches back between two Maple Leafs, who look like they're about 10 feet away. But Bjugstad disrupts the play. Who sweeps in? Phil Kessel. Grabs that loose puck. Once again, the Penguins have numbers, the Penguins have momentum and space into the offensive zone. Bjugstad makes the quick pivot, so does Brian Rust, barely gets onside. Kessel takes the right wing, a drop pass later, and Bjugstad rips one from the top of the circle. Now, here again, I think Bjugstad could have waited a full breath or heartbeat longer, put even more pressure on Sparks, but Bjugstad still made a nice shot. Went to the far post there, and Sparks made the toe save. Kind of kicked it out past Brian Rust for the rebound. Don't get too verklempt about Bjugstad missing those opportunities. He actually had 3 of these, almost identical on Saturday night. It's a new situation. His feet aren't yet on the ground, as it were, and he's letting the puck go just a hair too quickly. Look, he had 19 goals last season. The guy knows how to score at the NHL level. So even if the Penguins won't commit to Nick Bjugstad being their third-line center, look at the results already. Has any center in the last 18 months connected with Phil Kessel like that? A couple zip line passes on Friday night allowed Kessel to set up Brian Rust, who was wide open against the Ottawa Senators. The line has a little something going. And it's not like when Derick Brassard and Phil Kessel had a couple plays and we kind of graded them on the preschool curve, even though they weren't really coloring inside the lines. We're like, oh, good job. No, there's some real chemistry. And there's something, that line has a little something. Because make no mistake, when the Penguins lay out their lines, it's all about this guy. It's about getting Kessel on that third line. It's about 3 balanced lines. Actually, the way the Penguins are playing, 4 balanced lines. With Matt Cullen, the Penguins' fourth line, regardless of the wingers, has been contributing a lot of offensive pressure, a lot of pucks, and some really good play. But in terms of a top 9 and getting scoring from the top 9, it's all about the big guy, Phil Kessel. And he has to trust his centerman. I just don't think that trust, that connection was ever there with Derick Brassard. I think it was immediately there with Nick Bjugstad. Hey, maybe all the Penguins centers should just show up for the national anthem on their first game, right? I think going forward, now it could completely tank, and I'll look foolish for saying this. When it's there immediately, when you've got a little something to start with, and Nick Bjugstad was acquired to be the third line center, or at least get first crack at it, when it's working, you leave it alone. Regardless of when Evgeny Malkin returns from his hand injury, if you didn't check out a bit of a scoop from PittsburghHockeyNow.com, in which we got a little bit of an inside tip on Malkin's injury. Not a broken hand, as some had reported. In fact, our Penguin sources downplayed the fact that it might be broken, really pointing to a much less severe injury. Malkin skated on Monday morning before practice, went pretty hard, ripped a few shots off the boards. He looks a lot closer to returning than a broken hand might otherwise allow. But when Malkin does come back, if the Penguins can keep Bjugstad and Kessel on that third line, well, all of a sudden the Penguins are cooking with gas, and that trade for Bjugstad and McCann, dealing Brassard, looks a whole lot better. All right, this has been a Penguins Quickie here in the Beaver County Auto Studios. As you start your car shopping this spring and summer, do me a favor. Let them know that you saw all of this, and check out the website, beavercountyauto.com. I'm Dan Kingerski. Till we talk again, kids, have fun.